Well, hello there guys, and welcome back to another Pike and Shot Campaigns Gustavus Adolphus upload. We are of course playing as the Swedes against the Imperial, or I should say the Holy Roman Empire, being represented by the Catholic League and the papacy, etc. We're going to try to do everything we can, guys, to win here. But, you know, a lot of you guys left one recommendation that I thought was perfect. It's called the French tactic. Some of you may be somewhat aware of it, and that is retreat. Immediately, retreat. We can't win this fight. And even though we are the Lion of the North, the mighty Gustavus Adolphus, we need to know when we're beaten. As you can see right here, we're going to be able to keep most of our troops because the losses were fairly light on either side. Well, if you'd call several hundred fairly light, I probably wouldn't. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull that army back. We're going to move this army here, and we're just going to start generating profits. Basically, if we are able to generate profits and hold the enemy off at least temporarily, we can go ahead and we can raise new armies. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, for instance, our Swedish army, I'm going to go ahead and start raising forces for it. So we're going to raise a new army. And one thing I definitely want some veteran Pike and Shot. Those are the best Pike and Shot units you can have. Another thing is we didn't really have many cannons in the last battle, and that definitely hurt us. So I'm going to actually take some medium guns. I'll take 2 medium guns. Maybe we'll go ahead, we'll grab a unit of cuirassiers. These are, of course, the very, very strong cuirassier unit. We could also get some dragoons, but actually they look like sort of worse than anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe even get another light gun unit or a commanded shot. That's what I'll take. Commanded shot's actually pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and combine these armies. And now you can see that flag got a lot bigger, and that's because we have a tremendous amount of points in that army. We're going to go ahead, we're going to raise a new army here as well. This is our other army, of course, our second army, I want to call it. Oh, that's very original, Agrippa. And we're going to go and just try to get as many units as we can for it. We want to get some more Pike and Shot units in this army. It doesn't have nearly enough. Let's see, can we get another Pike and Shot unit? Unfortunately, we can't. Let's go ahead, we'll grab some medium guns as well, and maybe even some dragoons. We can actually grab. Oh, I thought we could almost grab 2 units of dragoons. That's too bad. Let's see. I may be actually happier with some hussars. So we're gonna actually take the hussars, and we will say yes, and we will obviously combine these armies. So as you can see, the provinces that are brown, these are Protestant provinces owned by us, the Swedes, or in this case, it's really just the Swedes. We're leading the army. This is a war of Swedish guns, German money, and that is to say that we are playing as the Swedes, but we are getting a lot of finance from the Protestants that are German, and they want us to win. So we want to go ahead and try to hold these provinces. I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, and of course we've got 2 very large armies here. Now, there is still a slight Catholic advantage in either battle, even if we attack here. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go right into Franconia. It looks like the enemy is going to pull back like the cowardly papist dogs that they are. And we're going to move into Bohemia with the second army. And interestingly enough, it looks like the enemy is going to agree to fight us in Bohemia. I like to think that we didn't make a major mistake. It looks like the enemy has less horse. We have somewhat more points, but let's go ahead and get to the battle, guys. Let's see what this battle is going to be called. This is going to be the second major battle in our campaign, of course, and I think, yes, that's perfect. That's just showing us our troop level, and it is going to be the Battle of Bohemia. And actually, we fought a battle here before, so we're back in our old stomping grounds. And now there are a few things, I should say, that concern me about this army, namely the fact that we have quite a lot of cavalry, not very many infantry units, and that's something that definitely bothers me a little bit. That being said, I'm not going to get too worried, and we can always retreat if we have to, just like we did in the last battle. That's one of the benefits of having multiple armies. We could retreat, and even if the army is not going to be as strong as it was before, either way, you know, it's going to be helpful because that army can be merged into a bigger army to form just an awesome group of men. So again, it doesn't mean we lose if we retreat. If we get totally destroyed and crushed, yes, we are in trouble. But there's always the ability for that tactical pullback. So I'm going to have to find a way to make my usual tactics work, and using only this many pikemen is not making me happy. It's making me very worried. So I'm going to go ahead, and we're going to have to definitely get our cavalry in line here for some flank attacks. That goes without saying. And let's throw this spearman. I'd actually rather throw this cannon over here and throw this spearman right here. In fact, I don't want the cannon anywhere near my spearman. What am I doing? I'm going to put the cannon here. And we'll take my veteran horse and drop him here. We're going to face this way, and we're going to basically follow the cuirassiers into battle. Those are our extremely brutal units, the cuirassiers. They are not afraid of death, which is why they have a skull and crossbones as a flag. I think that's just really cool. And actually, somebody, by the way, mentioned that they like when I zoom in more, so if you guys want me to keep it to zoom in mode, let me know, and we can definitely make that happen from now on. So like I said, we're going to turn all these units for the flank, all of these horse units, most of them anyway, for the flank. And hopefully the enemy is suffering from just as much of a loss of units as I am. Again, we have to make it up this hill. We really want to take that hill first before the enemy, so I certainly hope that we're going to be able to. Let's deploy this horse unit here. It's almost... Actually, I don't even know if I should have done that. I almost feel like we should just bring all our cavalry here to the right side and commit. Because just leaving 3 guys here seems a bit off. But whatever, we'll do it, right? So let's go ahead and let the enemy do their turn. It is the residual shooting phase, but no one is going to be shooting, sadly. At melee phase, no one's going to have any melee. And remember, this is the smaller of our 2 armies. It's still not a major army, but it's big enough to turn some heads. And as you can see, this is the Catholic force over here. They have a slight advantage, but one of the reasons of that slight advantage, guys, is the fact that they have local units, because we're attacking their province. They have local units that are of very poor quality, essentially. Pike and shot units that are not trained whatsoever. Commanded shot units that are poorly trained, not shown how to shoot. Basically just peasants picked up right off the roads of some random German city and forced to fight, given a pike and said, do you want to fight for Mother Church? And if you don't, we're going to kill you. And they really had very little choice, as you can imagine. So we're going to go ahead and continue here with our cuirassiers. They're going to lead our right flank charge, of course. We'll also want to bring the light hussars along because they could probably provide some actual gunfire at the enemies attacking us. So let's go ahead. We're going to move these guys forward. We're continuing that right flank. Also, don't forget, guys, if you're enjoying this series, let me know in the comments down below. I've gotten so much positive feedback from this, and I really appreciate it. So every view, every comment, it helps the channel so much. And it helps me know what you guys like, too. So here we go. Feeling a little more confident now that we're on the hill. Now that we don't have to worry about being downhill for this fight, I definitely want to be on the hill on an even footing with the enemy. And as you can see, I'm not moving those guys up as far as I could. And I'm just trying to keep a nice even spacing between our men. I want them to stay strong, but I also don't want them to be in a flat line because that's not going to do us any favors. And it looks like the enemy's left flank is also pretty weak. Probably should have committed to the left. Then again, we still outnumber the enemy from what I can see. Again, this is only what I can see of the enemy veteran horse. They may have a lot more guys hidden behind those woods or behind that hill. And that's something I'm always concerned about. Let's take a look here. Right, I think we're pretty good. Yeah, more or less. We can move this horse unit up, I suppose. You know what? We're not. We're going to put them over here in the woods, and we'll watch that the enemy's right flank, our left flank, to make sure that they're not going to try anything sneaky. But right now, this area, I'm going to try not to even have much action go along there. Mainly the center and the right. At least that's my plan. If the enemy has their way, things are going to be very different, of course. This army also suffers from a lack of cannons, like our last one did, which cost us the battle last time. And right here, the enemy have 2 cannons to our 1, so it's not as bad as it was last time, where they had 4 heavy cannons, but it's still going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. We are moving up the hill now, obviously getting into danger zone range. This is where blood is shed, where blood is spilled, and there's also a marsh here. And I'm trying to see if there's some way I could lure the enemies into that marsh. Now, one of the things we have to worry about is when we move forward, we may very well go right into that marsh. We need to find a way around it, because that's not going to do anything but make us ripe targets for shooting. We're basically just ducks in a blind, getting ready to be blown away by the enemy. So I'm going to go ahead excuse me, and continue trying to get around this enemy cavalry. As you can see, I'm moving all these units. We're trying to flank the enemy cavalry. We're also going to do a frontal cavalry assault, so that the enemy is not completely aware of our tactics. They might think, what are these crazy Swedes doing a frontal assault against our cavalry? And meanwhile, while they're focusing on that, we're going to be sneaking these boys behind to absolutely kick their ass. So once again, I'm going to move the 18th horse up. We don't want to move them up too much, like I said. We want to be very careful about this. And unlike the last battle where we just basically charged into battle willy-nilly, we're going to be much more cautious for this fight. I'm also going to keep basically troops up here just so I can keep a watch on the enemy army. And I may even bring this veteran horse to join in our attack on the right flank. But I think it's a bit too early for that. Let's end the turn and see if the enemy has anything to dish out at us. Can we shoot yet? Not yet. Our commanded shot cannot yet shoot. Let's go ahead and get to the residual shooting phase and turn the turn over to the enemy. The Catholic turn. Oh, there we go with their cannons. Now, they only hit 2 guys. You may not think that's a lot, but the morale damage... Excuse me, guys. The morale damage is actually quite bad, irregardless. So there we go. It is now our turn, and I'm going to end this particular part of the Let's Play. If you guys want to see the conclusion of the Battle of Bohemia, you, of course, can rate, comment, subscribe down below. Make sure to let me know that you're liking this series and that you want to see more. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Let's live to fight another day and crush these Catholic dogs.